Hola, mi gente. Welcome to Tech Talk Tuesday, how to prospect for your business clients. I'm your host, Paco Lebron. This is the place to learn how to run your IT service business, whether you're a one-person shop or leading a team for the journey. This is the place for you. Let me go ahead and introduce my guest. It is no one because I am solo tonight. Rick is representing us over at Build It IT by Design over in Jersey. We hope he's enjoying himself. He's meeting with our good friends from the vendor and other like-minded business owners. So we appreciate him representing us over there, and hopefully he's having a little bit of fun as well. But before we go ahead and go into the topic of how to prospect for business clients, I want to go ahead and talk about want to know about a safe place for your IT business, discuss specific topics, and maybe get a little bit of value. I'm going to go on a hunch here and go or on a leap and say tons of value. Well, join us for our third annual TechCon Unplugged. TechCon Unplugged is September 16th to the 18th at the Hilton Rosemont Chicago O'Hare. We got a lot of great stuff for you this year. We will be debuting our breakout sessions this year, which has been a big request from previous guests. One of the sessions I'd like to highlight is how to optimize your Wi-Fi and network setup. And that's going to be done by one of our own fellow peers, and that's Jason Miller over at Unbound Digital. Expect sessions like these and more. Head over to TechCon Unplugged. The tickets are $299, but if you're part of the MSP Unplugged community on Patreon, you'll be able to receive a discount code for being a part of the community, and you'll be able to go ahead and enjoy a lot of great value, including we have a Saturday night social being brought to us by Acronis and Gradient. And this is going to be a great time for all. Check out some of the testimonials on the website. You'll be in good company. So I encourage you, head over to techconunplugged.com, and I hope to see you there. All right. So as I was kind of scrambling for topics, I went ahead and on my iPhone and I was thinking, let me go ahead and see what we can go ahead and talk about. Well, what I ended up doing was went ahead and just thought about what was going on in the day, because I thought about doing a couple of things. I thought about maybe giving some updates on what's going on with the business. I haven't been on here for quite some time. I've been traveling, visiting other conferences, doing some other nonprofit work that I sit on. Then I said, sounds about a little bit boring. What do the people really want to listen to? And so luckily today, we were actually able to close a deal with a client that we did some project work for on a monthly managed service agreement. So it was a really great day today. And I figured, this is something that a lot of our peers are struggling with. I've noticed that this has been a topic in a lot of the Facebook group. So I'm hoping to go ahead, share a little bit of what we do on how to prospect for business clients, and also for those that may be doing residential work and are looking to try and get business clients. So you'll see me kind of look at my phone from time to time because I put it on my notes app, because of course I wrote it in notes and not in OneNote, so I couldn't transfer it here. My mistake, but this is what we're going to go ahead and do. So the first thing is, I think what a lot of people get confused or get concerned about, or what they have a fear of taking on business clients, is for different reasons, right? So I think the first one, and I can kind of speak from my experience, when I was a part-time business owner, it was really hard for me to think, okay, how am I going to go ahead and support a business during business hours? And so this was a very big concern for me, because I had a full-time job, but I was doing business on the side. But I realized that the business clients for me was where the money was at. So I had to figure out, how can I get this done? So what I ended up doing, and then there were other things that were not part of my skill set that I was very used to. One of those being that, business clients likely have servers. There were other times where, again, there are multiple people that are all kind of needing access at the same time, versus you supporting a family that would have a lot of residential work, maybe one family PC versus multiple. And then you had the networking component, whereas, you had your residential network, which was different for business network. So it took me a little bit of time to try and figure out and learn those skill set on how to acquire business clients. Luckily for me, I actually had two really great inspirations to be able to do this jump. One was actually a buddy of mine who is an engineer at a higher big electronics audio equipment firm. I don't want to say the name, but college friend, really great. Helped me in the early days of ProdigyTeks when we all started business and had to get friends to kind of fill in positions and skill sets we didn't have. And he basically really helped educate me to say, like, hey, look, businesses are just like residential clients. They're a client like anything else. They're all computers. They're all boxes. They're all numbers and digits. It's everything that we did in college. We can go ahead and take care of it as well because we went to college together, as I mentioned before. So that's really what pushed me to get my first client. And so what ended up happening was I was very big into reviews. For those that listen to me from the years from me on my journey of being a part-time business owner to just breaking into being full-time and just being myself as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, running the business myself, and then going on to having employees through that journey. I still believe reviews have been a big testament to what we do. Now, some people may say like, well, what's the point of reviews? Well, what's the, I mean, you really got to think that reviews are now the digital version of what a referral used to be when you would have your networking groups, when you would know somebody that knows somebody. This is a platform that allows many people or exposure to many people on somebody that is really happy with your work. So one of the things we did was we ended up getting a lot of reviews from all our residential customers. And so we had built a big presence in Google. We had a big presence on Yelp. And for some of the ones that had issues with their PCs and devices, that's how they reached out to us. And so we went ahead, we took care of, and again, you get all the type of failures. Hey, my LCD screen was cracked. Oh, my computer hard drive was done. And so we built a lot of processes and packages or products that we could go ahead and help those small businesses. Well, fancy enough, some of those clients that came to us for break fix when in the early days from 2013 to 2016, that was really when my break fix era for ProdigyTeks was at. And so what was great was when we entered 2017, we ended up shifting from break fix to doing prepaid billable hours. And then so what was awesome about that was I had built such a great rapport with these businesses doing just one-time break fix and things of that nature that it allowed me to expand our offerings. They, because of our great business acumen of what understanding their business, they were comfortable with us to really try and bring us on as their IT team. Now, that's all fine and dandy. That's a great story. But really, how does this help you prospect for business clients? Well, what ended up happening was because we were in such great what's the word I'm looking for? I'm drawing a blank. But we were in such great good graces with some of these clients that we asked them, hey, can you create us a review? And what we used to do, we used to go to a website called, I believe it was grade.us. Yeah, grade.us. And I'll have that in the show notes here. But basically, it was a review link generator that allowed us to basically send an email, send it out to the client, and say, hey, we would appreciate if you can write us a review. Now, over the years, we've since automated this. In the beginning, when we were doing with the break fix, we used to have it in our closure notices. So in Repair Shopper at the time, we would actually add that into our system. It would send it out to them. They would write a review. It would pop up. Great. We then went into utilizing Tech Reputation, which over at Tech Marketing Engine, which is one of their product suites, and that automated it to a way where it did multiple sites. And you can basically, the user can click, or you can decide whether you want to route them on your journeys. And then if there was a negative experience, it also served as a customer satisfaction tool for us to understand what's going on. Now, what the reviews were able to find for us was people who were searching for us. We were able to get a lot of clients coming in through this way, break fix and so forth. But what ended up happening was now up down to 2017. In 2017, that's when we decided to go to I'm sorry, not 2017. From 2018, 2019, it's because around 2017 we did our prepaid hours. It was around the end of around 2018, 2019 was really when we decided, okay, what are we going to go ahead and do? We really need to get predictable income. How are we going to do this? And so we had to convert all of our clients over to that. And B, we had to go ahead and find new clients to be able to go ahead and fulfill the monthly recurring revenue and agreements that we had. So from that point on, the reviews assisted us when we were doing break fix and billable, but they were not helping us when we switched to the managed service model. So what was happening on those reviews was Google and Yelp, because we had so many break fix reviews, it was hard to determine what we did. And some people still thought we did. So we had to actually do two things. We had to update the listings to show that we weren't doing break fix work anymore. But we also invested our time with reviews over at a site called clutch.co and UpCity. I cannot tell you that the amount of the reviews that have come through to get to prospects through those avenues, we've gotten more managed clients through those avenues than we have with Google and Yelp. So our Google and Yelp kind of tanked down when we stopped advertising break fix. And as we started leveraging clutch.co, UpCity, those two review sites really helped bring in a lot of the managed services agreements clients that we have today. And I have to thank Joanna Muroff over at MXO Tech for telling me about Clutch, because I always thought clutch.co was only for software development and application software development. But she would inform me that no, it's actually for IT service providers, MSPs, things of that nature. So reviews are a big thing as far as one way to help get prospects on prospecting small businesses. That has been a huge boom for us, because every time we got a review, we'd always get some leads that came into our system, and we would then go ahead and help get qualified. Now, maybe reviews are not your jam. Maybe you don't feel like you're comfortable enough to ask them about being able to get a review. So the next thing that what we've done is we actually had been involved with a lot of associations. Now, a lot of business associations are similar or maybe the same as a chamber of commerce. Now, a chamber of commerce, as everyone knows, is basically an ability or an organization that will help provide business resources. Depending on the type of chamber, that there may be a division from the Small Business Administration inside of it. Well, our issue was we had a lot of chambers, but I was getting involved with the associations. Now, the associations, what allowed us to get involved was not only did we build a brand for ProdigyTeks and being subject matter experts for networking events, we also had the ability to meet with other IT providers and IT service providers that were bigger than us. Now, what led to this, and this is what led to a lot of my early success as well, back in 2018, we met with a larger MSP. They were looking to basically they were trying to figure out their way of getting in more, making their referral / marketing dollars work for them. And how do they turn it into an ROI? Because a lot of times for bigger MSPs and IT service providers, they get calls from smaller companies that they feel don't meet their requirements. And I think we all have phases of our business where we may not take certain clients because they're not in our requirements. We want to help them, but we just have built a model to maintain sustainable growth. And this is the reason why we do it this way. So luckily at this association, there was a member that was a bigger MSP as well. We had a great conversation. It was great. We talked about everything. We found that we were both a really great fit, and we signed an NDA, and essentially that allowed us to basically get referrals that if it didn't meet to their qualifications, they would go ahead and send it our way. And then if we closed it, then we would go ahead and get them a finder's fee. That's basically how it worked, and it's still currently working. So we actually did this with several bigger MSPs where we basically said, hey, instead of your Google AdWords, instead of your advertisements, instead of your marketing efforts basically going to zero, why don't you involve us? Let's build a partnership. Let's go ahead and figure out how we can collaborate. And if they're not part of your stack, if they're not part of your requirements, send them our way. If this works out, we'll give you a finder's fee. Now, if you guys want to know specifically how we structured that agreement, feel free to ping me. I can let you know kind of what we worked out. And it's actually the same way that I'm structuring our business development team as well as I'm building that out. It's kind of the same structure for a commission basis as well. So feel free to ask me. We can go ahead and talk for that. But that is a huge part because you're doing a couple of things. You're not investing a lot in your marketing because you have this relationship from a bigger MSP that has much more resources, much more dollars that are helping try and put that stuff into play. But also you're building a relationship and the customer wins, the client wins, because let's say that they can't get the appropriate help that they need and they get passed over to you. Obviously, you're a legitimate IT service provider. They're not going to someone that's going to be a fly by night and be left to with the bag because they thought that they had a great IT company. It works all the way around, and the bigger MSP looks like a great guy and gal. So that's kind of how we have really built a lot of these relationships with a lot of our clients, and a lot of our clients have been long standing because they helped us with these warm qualifications. Now, how do you go ahead and meet a bigger MSP? There's so many events that are going on in the industry right now. You could throw a stone and you're going to hit 5 of them. So there's no excuse. You can definitely find another MSP IT service providing networking group that is out there. Obviously, you have our group that you can reach out and talk to other like-minded business owners that have people from there virtually. There are plenty of other Facebook groups that you can help build relationships as well. There's a lot of virtual conferences. There's a lot of virtual events, and obviously a lot of the in-person events like the one that Rick is at. And then I'll be actually at ChannelCon next year by CompTIA. All of these are great opportunities to really speak with local IT service providing owners, and also just getting a feel for people that you can work with. I think this is a big opportunity for you to not only be able to connect with people, but also have the ability to see what you can offer in return. Because I think that having that relationship and being able to figure out, all right, what can I do? What can I offer? This really will help you open your eyes too on figuring out where you want to go, and really just how you want to get to what your end goal is for your business. Are you looking to make a sustainable income, and that's going to be X amount of thousands of dollars? Well, how do you get there? Well, I need to get this. I need to get X amount of clients. And so that'll help you with your conversations as you build some of these partnerships. But obviously, don't go in there just looking for yourself. You got to provide that value as well. It's got to be a 50-50 relationship. As I've mentioned time and time again on this podcast, there's so many things that we have that we discuss back and forth, from how on a vendor relationship, a partner relationship, and even just down to like-minded business owners. That's a great opportunity for you to do. Again, networking with your peers are going to be a great opportunity for you to be able to get into understanding how you can go from there and build out a great relationship from that side as well. Now, let's say that's not a big, you're not into all of that. You don't want to get, you don't want to ask customers for referrals, which I think is going to be your big bread and butter. Upselling is probably going to be your number one revenue resource if you ever decide to really take a look at your catalog. And by catalog, looking at your clientele, I can tell you that on the first 2 years of ProdigyTeks, when I went full time, I made my sustainable income from being able to upsell and be able to convert all of my current clients to being monthly recurring revenue versus finding new clients. And there's a book that Carrie Richardson put out of maiden name Carrie Simpson. And I can't remember the name of the book, but she put it out for Managed Sales Pro. And it basically had these, like, how to build out your sales pipeline. And what was great was there was a part there that she really said, like, hey, really 60% of, I want to say the quote was 60% of your revenue that's going to be coming in should be coming in from your existing clients. And how do you tap into that? And it goes into a lot more details and such, but great book. Is a digital book. I got to figure out where that link, if I find it, I'll make sure to post it and go from there. But really, you should be focusing on your existing clients and being able to upsell to them on. And again, there's so many tools and there's so many things, and I'm sure that a lot of people need to update their pricing anyway. This is an opportunity for you to give them great value on specific tools that are in the industry that is necessary against the framework. Whole nother conversation. Me and Rick can bring that up later on. Second is building a referral network with your peers and MSP partners. Again, there could be that they're bigger MSPs and they don't work with a certain type of client. Maybe there's a type of client they may not like to work with that you like to work with because you have a specialty for them. That's going to help you build reputability. That'll help build a great partnership. That'll also help you go from there. Really quick, before I go into the third point, I see some comments into the comments here. I want to say hi to Ray and hi to Kurt. Appreciate you tuning in here live. And hope you're getting some value from there. And I hope you're not just sitting around looking at a screen. I hope you are enjoying either a great night or you're at Build It Ray and enjoying yourself over there as well. But going into our third point on going into sales is you got to build a list. Like, if you want to get new prospects, you got to build a list. The number one thing I can tell you is do not purchase a list. The purchase lists are sometimes the most amount of garbage that you will purchase. You might as well just start from scratch. So how do you build your list? Because this is a question I had. And I talked to Victor Antonio, who is a good friend of mine over at Sales Velocity Academy and or Sales Mastery Academy. And he said, what do you mean you don't know how to build a list? I was like, I have no idea how to build a list. How do I build a list? Well, this is what you do. So he actually pointed me to a resource which is now retired. It's called data.com, which was previously run by Salesforce. But there's another one that used to be called Reference USA, but it's now called Data Axle. Now, this is a tip that now it costs some money for the subscription for this, but this was a tip that was brought up by Mike Wise over at Clockwise. Oh, he's going to kill me. Mike Wise is going to be a Clockwork Solutions. Mike, kill me if that's if I butchered your company name. But basically, what Mike brought up was he allowed for a ability that where if you have most public libraries have a lot of digital partnerships with a lot of digital resources. If you have your public library and you have a public library card, you can access some of these digital resources. Data Axle, formerly known as Reference USA, is one of these resources. I, being from Chicago and Chicago Public Library, they have this available free of charge just for having the library card. So this is why it says, hey, the library card is going to be beneficial to you. Go to the library, support the library. I should say that because I used to actually work at the library for 5 years, way back in 2002 to 2007. So shout out to all my peeps over in Chicago Public Library system. But that's what I would say is going to be a great benefit for you, because here you can actually dial into as specific and as digital as dialed in that you want to get. You want manufacturing clients that are 5 users and they are in this particular side of town. Boom, you can get it. If you want to go ahead and generate a list that is a lawyers, that is a 50 group lawyer that is of this section of town or in this city or in a different state, maybe you're opening up another market. Boom, you can generate that list and you can get these going from there. Now, what I will say is with any list generating, with any list that you go through, you have to clean the data. I cannot emphasize this enough, because that data might be old, stale, and wrong, but you want to have a clean list. So what I have done in the past is I'll have a LinkedIn Sales Navigator at the time. And we slowed down our sales for the last couple of months, and I'll get into that in a minute. Where we had LinkedIn Sales Navigator, I forgot, I think it's like $80 a month or something like that, and that allowed us to search these companies and find out the details. And again, looking up the context, is this person still the office manager at that location? Nope. All right, scratch this out. Let's find out who the office manager is. Go onto the website. And so I started doing a lot about that type of digging with the Sales Navigator. If you don't have the resources for a subscription for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, just open up a LinkedIn account. You got to do the manual process yourself. Look it up, see if the companies are there. This has allowed us to really figure out who of our client, who we can target as suspects. And because my pipeline is built out of suspects, prospects, qualification, evaluation, quote, and then if I won or lost that process. And I can go into that here in a little, either in another episode, or we can go if we have time at the end. But basically, that's how I try and find my suspects, so that if I can get a conversation with them and they've committed to having an appointment, then they become a prospect. And then the prospect will allow for the qualification settings. Now, you got to clean the data. You got to go through the system. You got to kind of figure out from there. And you can get creative with this. You can go ahead. I've heard people send, I've heard people like if they found a particular business owner and they haven't been returning their calls or haven't been returning their emails, I've heard them send, and again, this is if you have the resources, where they'll send them a nice pair of shoes and they'll only send one shoe. And then they'll find that, hey, if you want the other shoe, give me a call and we can go ahead, because I just wanted to get my foot in the door, stuff like that. So you can get creative on the way that you can get in touch with these clients, but obviously prospecting or getting prospects to go, building a list is going to be beneficial to you by going through this resource like Reference USA. Another way of building your list is building on a newsletter. Building on a newsletter is not that hard. You can open up a free MailChimp account. You can have some, there's a lot of articles that are out there that are really beneficial to clients. Or you can have go to a service like Tech Marketing Engine, which is not that much expensive. TechNibble, is another mail service that has great content as well. These are great opportunities where you can build out these newsletters, have information for you, and kind of go from there. Now, the difference between Technibble and Tech Marketing Engine is Technibble is a pre-standardized template of content, really great content. If you haven't heard of them, I would definitely check them out. Bryce Whitty is a great friend of ours, has a lot of great products on their pint, and that's one of them. And then with Tech Marketing Engine, Matt Rodella and Raimi Bell, they build custom newsletters, custom content. So they actually will ask you for the topics. If you're not a good copywriter, they can actually build that out for you. Well, anyway, you can build out a newsletter on your own for no money. You can just basically get a free MailChimp account or go to these services. But once you get a newsletter going, you can attend these networking events. You can attend a lot of these virtual things from small business associations, being able to go to networking events, things of that nature. Really in your own communities. You can even talk to your own town hall sometimes to see if there's any networking events being thrown, and even down to your chamber of commerce. Even your state chamber of commerce will have some events that can help trickle down on finding others. The great ability for this, if you strike up a conversation, if they seem to be a good fit, you talk to them. Hey, well, great. Hey, do you have a biz card? Hey, would love to send you, put you on my newsletter if that's okay with you. Now, maybe you don't want to go for the kill right then and there. You can ask for the business card. Hey, thanks, bye, boom, whatever. Shoot them an email the next day because it's fresh on their mind. Hey, it was a great conversation with you. We'd love to add you to my newsletter if you want. You want them to be able to opt into the newsletter and opt into the email marketing, because something that I learned from Matt Rodella is, if you toss a list inside of a email newsletter system like MailChimp, HubSpot, etc., and you just dump in all these contacts and start sending newsletters willy-nilly, you're going to get a bad bounce rate, bad unsubscribe. You're going to get a good amount of unsubscribe rates, and what's going to end up happening is that's going to lower your qualification score depending on the platform you're using, and that's not going to give you a great engagement from those that are sending contacts. So really make sure that you build this organically. It's going to take time. It's going to take a lot of effort to really try and get this going for you all. But in the end, it actually works out. So again, building out your list, email newsletters, great opportunity for you to be able to do that. I have found a lot of great success to be able to do so as well. The next thing which you could do is obviously there's advertisements. I have shifted on not using Google Ads as I used to back in the day when I was doing Break Fix. I was running Facebook ads for quite some time. However, Facebook has changed with a lot of what the Apple update, but Facebook has a great program called Facebook Elevate. And if you could find that, it'll basically help teach you. And it's actually an X amount of week course. I think it was like 8 weeks where they had someone that was actually teaching us on how to utilize that platform and how the ads would generate from there. A lot of people are finding a lot of great success from LinkedIn as well, and being able to generate those leads and coming into side to go ahead and prospect for clients. But the great piece about Facebook is obviously the pixel, and the pixel is what really determines your demographics. And that's really what you got to find out. You have to drive people to your site in order to understand what are the type of people that are looking for your services. The other piece to this as well is you got to figure out, all right, well, what other places can I find my clientele in? So what Facebook groups are they hanging out in? What other systems are they trying to go into? I mean, look at Marvin B. Marvin visits I think it's the ABA Tech Show, which is the biggest technology lawyer show that comes to the conference. And I think it's been in Chicago the last several years. And I don't know if it's always been in Chicago, but he always makes it down there to educate himself on the technology that they're using. But he's in a field of all his potential prospects right there. And all he has to do is just strike up conversation. So really figure out where your prospects are going to be at and go ahead and talk to them. Now, if you don't know where they are and you have no clue, and let's say you do have a client that maybe you have 1 or 2 clients, let's say, and you're trying to expand that clientele, ask them, take them out to dinner, take them out to lunch, ask them what's going on with their business. What are they struggling with? And really understanding what they're trying to do. And then you can say, oh, well, where do you try and get answers for that? Or where do you go ahead and that? And the more you listen, the more you're going to understand where these people are hanging out. And this is going to allow you to get a big prospect sea of opportunities for you to go ahead and gain that opportunity as well. Going to take a quick break. I want to talk about our online community, which is over being hosted on Facebook right now, but it is our access from Patreon. If you'd like to support this show, head over to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. Patreon is basically the entryway of being able to get all things MSP Unplugged, whether that is discount codes, early access to our events, or even being able to get into our online community, which I mentioned is hosted on Facebook. This will allow you to speak with like-minded business owners, and you'll be able to really talk and find a really safe space on being able to express yourself. The reason why we decided to come out with a Facebook group is because for a lot of people, and you may agree, where there are a lot of Facebook groups that are out there in huge numbers that a lot of business owners and techs speak their opinion as fact. And that is something that just drives me up the wall, where someone can ask a question and then they say, oh, well, what the heck are you talking about? Or why are you, that's a stupid question. Or did you even bother Googling it? Things of that nature. But it's just one of those where someone that took the energy and the risk, right, and don't know what they don't know and try to post it on social media and ask for updates, they just now have been turned away, and now they're not going to feel comfortable to be able to ask that question anymore. This is why we created the Facebook group. We have zero tolerance of, I wouldn't say bullying, but more of like just we have zero tolerance for jerks. I can't say the real word that I want to say, but that's kind of what allows us to have a great group of people, tightly niched, really involved, and appreciate everything that they commit to us and everything we try to do to commit to them. So if that's something that's up your jam, if that's your jam, if that's something up your alley, head over to patreon.com/MSP Unplugged. Contribute. It's about $1 a show. And then essentially once you join, you'll get the link to reach out, and then we'll kind of just go from there. So MSP Unplugged, or I'm sorry, patreon.com/MSP Unplugged if you are interested, and kind of go from there. All right. So we've talked about being able to get referrals is a great opportunity to get prospects. We've talked about being able to utilize associations and being able to build out a referral network for other MSPs to really help drive that back down. And then also building your list, which is through networking and so forth and things of that nature. Now, these are 3 main points that I have operated my business on and trying to really gain a lot of our prospects and so forth from as well. Now, the other thing that I will leave with you before we sign off on this short show is you have to determine what is your goal. As I mentioned this before, you have to understand, what do you really want to be able to bring home and bring in house for yourselves? Is that resources for the ability to contract out? Is it resources to just be able to live in a comfortable ability and a lifestyle? Do you want to grow? And do you want to grow to whatever the number may be to grow? Once you have that goal, you have to work backwards and figure out, all right, how do I get there? And this is how many I'm going to need, and then go from there. This is where you start figuring out your sales ratios or your closing ratios and things of that nature. But what I will say to you is that no matter what it is that you're trying to go, money, as much as money in, and it's going to be more than the money going out. It's very overview, very simplified of what we're saying. But I think the biggest piece you want to make sure is that if you're set on being a managed service provider, it may not be a bad idea to take on a Microsoft 365 migration, because they may only want one thing, but from working with you and the experience that they have, they may want to do even more work for you as well, which is what happened today. We did an email migration for a company. They had great success. They loved working with my team. And my service desk coordinator was on it, really did great. And because of this experience where they felt they only wanted this project, they just felt like they wanted to continue to work because they couldn't see them going back to taking on those IT requests. So we had a great conversation today and ended up working out, and we ended up closing the deal. So understand that not all projects coming in are all bad, but also you want to make sure that not all money is good money either. There is bad money that's out there, and the amount of time that you are trying to figure out. So what I will leave with you is this. Yes, prospecting is great. Yes, you have the opportunity to increase your revenue and fold. There are some of you all that are struggling to try and get this going and known as your MSP practice, your IT service business. I have been there. I can tell if you are at TechCon or if I run into you in any other shows, I have no problem talking to you about all the struggles that I have and any of us have had. I will tell you from 2017 to the end of 2019 were probably the worst 2 years of me struggling being able to keep up with all of actually 2017 to 2018. So up until the beginning of 2019 were probably the worst 2 years and stressful years as not only a single father, having just started a relationship, having been sued, and being able to try and maintain a full-time commitment and a full-time job known as my business and really trying to scale. And being able to know that you had no resources, had no ability to do so, and trying to figure out if you're going to get paid the next day is such a scary feeling. So what I will say is for those that are struggling, those are trying to figure it out, there's definitely resources, there's definitely information, there's definitely ways to make sure that you can become successful. The only biggest thing is that you have to ask for help. Don't take it alone, because the more you can ask for help, the more you're going to be the ability to gain that information back. I was thankful for Junior, who I mentioned, my college friend, that helped push me toward getting business clients. And then I have to give a big opportunity and shout out to John Dubinsky, because if it wasn't for me absorbing all of the knowledge that he helped and gave me his time on just shadowing him and all his clients, I would not be where I am today to be able to scale off from what he has taught us. So definitely for those two individuals, really appreciate them for what I've done. And that's what we're here for as well. So if there's any sales resources, if there's any information that we can help for, or if you found any value for this starter conversation on how to expand on how to prospect and find clients, definitely head us up on info@mspunplugged.com, or you can connect with any of us on LinkedIn as well. So that's going to be it for tonight, guys. It's going to be a short show. Just wanted to get it really tight and compact and kind of get into there. If this is of interest, watch us every Tuesday and Thursday. Thursday, we're still working out on some details, but we are still scheduled to have Emily Glass over at Synchro. So that's going to be a great episode and find out what's the new things that Synchro got coming up in the coming new year. I'm sorry, in the coming year. But again, tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. If you want to watch the video podcast, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. We will be streaming to our new Twitter account as well. Basically, whatever the social media site /MSP Unplugged or hashtag MSP Unplugged, you'll be able to find us. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button on any of your platforms that you prefer to watch us. And then if you want to take us on the go, if you prefer the audio version of this podcast, you can do so. It gets released every Monday and Wednesday. We're on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and on Spotify as well. And we have a ton of other avenues as well. So once again, thank you all for listening. We appreciate your support over the years, and we will see you next time on MSP Unplugged.